Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 5 review. And this episode is called Captive. And this episode came out on May 8th, 2016. And I gotta say, this episode was fine. Um, but I don't know, like, it was just very weird because it just kind of undid all that good the last episode was, because I feel kind of a little bit underwhelmed. And I want to say this, I guess, about this season so far, is it kind of feels a little bit underwhelming. While the episodes have been largely good and stuff like that, it just feels like it needs something, and it needs like a little bit of a spoke. I thought that we had finally had it in the last episode, but then it was just completely undone with in this episode. So, yeah, I'll talk about all the ups, all the downs, all the thumbs and the middles, and all that stuff. Um, this episode came out on May 8th, 2016. I might have already said that, but I'm just going to say it again. So, I don't even know really where to begin talking about this episode. So, um, I guess I'll start off by talking about. I'm just going to break it down. So, pretty much the episode starts off with Alicia. And it was really weird because Connor, who's like the leader of this thing, of this group, is being really creepy because he makes her like a steak dinner and he talks about how he wants to get to know her better. And I was pretty creeped out about this. I thought he was like gonna be strangely attracted to her, and but it really did. But that didn't really go anywhere. This scene meant nothing. It was just really questioning. So I want to give this scene a down because it just didn't lead anywhere. And Alicia tries to escape, but the doors are all locked. And then when she goes up on like the top of the boat, she gets caught by Jack. And Jack's like, "You're not supposed to be here." And Alicia wants like a guarantee that Jack and that Jack and she wants a guarantee from Jack that her family's going to get to shore safe and sound, and he guarantees that to her. And this kind of, and I know I usually have a thing with, since these are separate storylines, I would break them down separately, but I can't really break down the next scene because it kind of gives away stuff. So then what happens is Daniel is pretty much cleaning up Reed's wounds, and yeah, she cleans up his wounds, and he cleans up his wounds, and he's talking shit to Chris, and Chris is saying that he's fine, and then Daniel, Chris, he's pretty much just trying to rile up Daniel, to try to really get him to go off the edge, but Daniel is staying true to his grounds, and what happens is Chris is like, "Why are you you know why didn't you deck the guy?" And Daniel says he's only saying this stuff because he's scared. And Chris wants to keep going of weed, and Daniel says he can do that just to kind of give him something to do. And Ophelia's like, "Why does he want to do that?" And he said he wants to have purpose. So what happens is Chris is kind of starting to question his morals because he could have ended this all by just shooting you know Jack, Via, and Reed when they came on board, but he didn't. And Nick's kind of like, "Well, I wouldn't shoot a pregnant lady, so you kind of did the right thing." I overall kind of enjoyed this scene. I'll give that an up, but it was just very odd and out of place. There's more to that. So what happens is Madison wants to go after um, the boat where Connor and stuff is on. So what happens is they go after it, and um, we Lewis doesn't want to because they have a schedule to keep that they have to get to Mexico. Um, fairly soon, or else the opportunity of going there is going to close. But then Strand convinces Lewis to allow them to do so, to allow him to do them to do so. He gives them like a day and a half to go after the family, and Nick. I'm sorry, and Strand then says this makes them even since um, Maddie saved his life. So what happens is later on in the episode, um, what happens is what's his name? Jack is trying to get Alicia to try to get a boat so that way that she can do the same thing that Jack did to her to get his boat and their boat. So then what happens is Alicia finds Abigail, and finds that it's coming to shore earlier than what Jack thought was going to happen. So Alicia gets upset about this. She attacks him. She hits him off the head with a clipboard, and Jack gets cut open from this. So Jack says he didn't know, and she ended up taking like one of his weapons. I'm gonna give that scene a down because that didn't go anywhere. That did nothing. Like she was gonna attack him or something, but nothing happened to that. So that was stupid. Um, and So Jack agrees that they're gonna try to infiltrate have Connor infiltrate another boat while they go to try to get their family as like a distraction. And we finally see what Travis is. I am gonna give the every scene that Travis was kind of in and up because I actually thought that was well done. He tries to escape. He's like locked inside a cell, and we see Alex, and we find out that Alex ended up having to choke um, Jake because Jake was just going to die. He couldn't talk anymore, and he was essentially going to die, but he didn't want to turn into a walker, so she choked him and threw him in the water. And I kind of liked this, and we also find out that Alex was the one that told Connor about Abigail because she kind of wanted to get revenge on Travis. And I like this scene. I kind of like too because they both kind of had to do the same thing for people. Where Travis ended up having to kill Chris's mother, and Alex ended up having to kill Jake. And they talk about how Travis didn't really want his son to see any violence, and he talked about how they say that violence changes people. I wanted to kind of remain more for my son, and I liked this scene a lot. And then they even talk about how is there going to be more for people in this world than just that. So I liked this scene a lot. I really thought it was well done. So I'm going to give this scene an up. So then what happens is Madison finally gets there. What I do want to give kind of, I guess another scene I'll give an up is I do like the scene where Madison's kind of slowly starting to realizing that this world's kind of having an effect on their children because Madison doesn't want her kids to be involved in any of this stuff. She gets, because when they were going to go attack this ship, they didn't want any of the kids to go, but Daniel says they're going to have to be a part of this world. And she got mad at Strand that he made Nick, go on that mission to get Lewis, and she makes Nick's promise. We find out that Nick had offered, and she makes Nick promise to never do something like that again. So I kind of like this. It kind of shows that her kids are going to have to take responsibility. I even kind of like how Nick's starting to become comfortable with with his gun. So I like that scene overall. I thought that was a nice scene. And then what happens is this is like the biggest scene out of them all. Reed is talking shit to Chris, just trying to get riling him up, and this is pissing Chris off. And Nick catches him, so he closes the door, and obviously that led to that whole scene where Nick and Chris talked about how he could have shot him and stuff like that. So I like that scene. So what happens is Maddie offers a trade. She radios in towards Connor, and Connor radios in asking for Reed because he was supposed to bring the boat over. But then Maddie says that Reed's still alive, but we have him hostage, and you won't get him back until we get our people back. So they offer a trade, and they agree to meet each other within an hour with, Reed unharmed. And you think that everything's going to go smoothly, but we know something's up. So what happens is we have a gunshot go off, and when they go downstairs, we see that Chris shot Reed, and Chris said he was going to turn. So Chris realizes he fucks everything up. I even kind of like that little conversation that him and Maddie had with each other. And when Maddie says we're going to figure this out, and Chris kind of slowly started to realize it. And then what happens is Ophelia and Nick aren't really necessarily sure if he was really going to turn or not. So what happens is he actually does turn, because he didn't shoot him in the head. He shot him right in the side of the mouth. And they were about to put Reed down, but then Daniel realizes that there's going to be a plan here. I actually kind of thought this plan was clever. I did kind of like this scene. So what happens is they tie up Daniel and they put a burlap sack over his head, as if he's still alive. I'm gonna give it down. I don't know what the fuck that scene was, where somebody was in Daniel's mind was telling him to pick up the gun and stuff. I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to be. I guess it's gonna go to a story, maybe it's some sort of World War story, but it just was out of place and made no sense to me. Because why was he having this stuff now and not in season 1 when he kidnapped that military guy? That didn't make any sense to me. So I didn't like that. So Madison is going to go and do the handoff, and you can see it's more dissension between Nick and Madison. And what happens, but where Nick wants to go, but then Madison just ends up going anyways. And what happens is they do this trade-off. They did the, and I'm going to give this scene, the earlier scene now down too, because they executed this plan and they didn't even get to execute it. That was just a meaningless scene too with Alicia and Jack. What happens is Travis is about to be traded off, and then because then it led to Alicia going down to Travis and Travis saying leave me behind if you have to, and that meant nothing either. So that was a down. So I liked this, the ending of the episode, I guess. What happens is they're going to do the trade-off, and somebody pointed this out. Why would they do it with burlap sacks over the head? I guess that's actually a good question, because it could have led to something, especially too because people could have pulled a fast one, because if you turn into the infected, they could pull a fast one on you. But what happens is they pull up Travis, and we see that when they hand off Reed, we see that he's turned into the infected. We already knew that, but they find everybody out. But Connor and the other guy find that out. Reanimated Reed bites Connor, and the other guy goes to charge at Travis. He takes him down with a headbutt, but and Travis, after he's been untied, all of a sudden can't take this guy. That didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. And Travis and Maddie beat the shit out of this guy, and Jack went to go to Alicia to go forth with a plan, but Alicia hid from him. And then Alicia and Jack have this awkward scene where and Alicia and Via got into a fight, and she ended up locking Via into the cell. And Jack doesn't want Alicia to go because he said that they'll take really good care of her. Her family will easily leave somebody high and dry, just like Alex. But Alicia says, I'm sorry, I have to go. They're my family. And she jumps off the boat into the water, and they save Alicia, and that was the end of the episode. The episode was the ending. The ending I'm gonna give a thumbs in the middle, just because while it was very nice stuff, I guess it just felt very anticlimactic. And what I'm gonna give the biggest down of all is they pretty much just blew through episodes of stuff they could have done. They could have made this a really big story, but instead they just blew it off in one episode. I thought that was stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. This had so much potential. I also didn't really like the fact that yeah, a lot of people don't really seem to like to Madison, Nick's, and Alicia's character. Alicia's character's alright. It's not great, but it's not great either. I like Madison's character. I think she's a nice badass. I like Nick's character. Um, I like Travis's character. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. But this episode, that's pretty much that was pretty much the end of the episode. I really didn't put much effort into this. This episode really wasn't anything fancy. It was very disappointing, actually. Has to be one of the most. Actually, no. I might be. It has to be one of the most disappointing episodes of this season. But it's not. I was gonna say the most disappointing one, but that goes to the season premiere of this season because that was largely disappointing. But this just really ruined a lot of potential. They really could have milked a lot of stuff out. Like, why? I feel bad for the people that weekly watch that web series they did just to kill off the at least all the characters, even Alex. Like that. Wow, what a spit in the face that was. But if I had to rate this episode, it was slightly above average. There was stuff I liked in this episode. I liked the altercation with Travis and Alex. I do like the storyline with Chris, where he's just kind of starting to become a little bit unhinged. And I think, and I do like that he lied about that and stuff like that. I did like the cleverness that the characters that Madison and stuff show by handing off Reed when he was infected. I thought that was clever and something unique that we hadn't seen before. I thought that was clever, and I'm thoroughly amused with the storyline with Madison not wanting the kids to get involved in all this stuff. I actually am thoroughly amused. But overall, this episode was slightly above average, just because of the fact that it really just felt anticlimactic and it blew off. You really could have milked this out to the mid-season finale, and they didn't. So, and they had some bad stuff in it, like Alicia and Jack's altercation started to really not make much sense, and it just had like a lot of fillers, a lot of scenes that really didn't lead to anything. So I'm gonna give this episode a C minus. It was slightly above average, but really nothing that you have to see. It was very disappointing because it seems like like I've talked about in the beginning of this video, this show, overall this show's been pretty good, but it just feels like that it's missing that something. When The Walking Dead started, it instantly kicked off with a bang. While season 2, although a lot of people don't like season 2 of that, I still thought that was really damn good. But I don't know what the hell was going on with Fear the Walking Dead season 2. It just seems very anticlimactic. And I was kind of very hopeful for this season, and it just seems like it's very disappointing at the moment. I think one of the main thing that really hurts this show is it's tough to really do this show on water. I thought being on water was going to be really cool, but it's really tough because you can't, because the infected aren't really going to be much of a factor because it's in water, and it's just, I don't know. It feels like this show. This show. This season really needs to start really picking up, and maybe once they get to Mexico, the show really will start to pick up. But who even knows if they're gonna get to Mexico by the end of the season? I hope they do, but we have to wait and see. But overall, that's my thoughts on this review of episode 6 of this, no, episode 5 of this season. I'm gonna stay up until about 1 in the morning and get the mid-season finale up, so that way I can kind of, because I'm gonna watch the next one and then I'll just probably watch the next one because I want to see the mid-season finale. So I'll definitely do that. But that's pretty much my review of this. Leave you guys' thoughts in the comment section of what you thought of this episode, and make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video. And subscribe to this channel for more content, and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers YouTube channel. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.